chickadees. Happy Monday. Monday matters. And we have a lot of matters to cover on this Monday. I do hope you've been having a lovely start to the week. I had a very productive day myself. And I have to tell you, Mr. Demeanor took me to the beach yesterday. It is my happy place beyond all other places to be, except maybe anything that involves my son. But it was a fantastic day. We saw a beautiful large manatee, came right up to the shoreline. And for whatever reason, the first time in my life, there were dozens and dozens of sand dollars. And I can't tell you how happy that made me. I was able to hold them in the palm of my hand, and I could see their little mouth open and all the fuzzies on the outside or the perimeter of it. Was just a great day. It was fantastic until some people came and sat down next to us and they started blasting music, and then they started hollering over the music. And I don't understand why people go to the beach and play music. You can listen to music whenever you want. When you go to the beach, I want to hear the waves. I want to hear the seagulls. I want to hear little children squealing with enjoyment. And I can't do that if someone is blasting music. And so when it got to be like that, we left. But it was a great day otherwise. Let me say hello to everyone. Christine, thank you. She's hanging out with us again. You just can't get enough of us and coming all the time. We loved it. Granny is with us. And Kristen is back with us again. Peppermint PJ. Disney nerd. Hey, Disney. And Anne is with us also. I know several of you are still trickling in. If you are new, please leave your DNA on that thumbs up. I always appreciate it. And you might want to hit that subscribe button if you haven't done that already. And you might want to think about becoming a member. There's some cool merch out there too. I hope that my merch comes before I before I leave, I should say, to go to Vegas for CrimeCon. I would like to be able to wear my misdemeanor stuff at CrimeCon. So hopefully that will happen. And I realized I forgot to turn my fan on in my studio here. Bear with me just a moment, folks, while I do that little ditty. Hang on. Okay. Sorry, it gets quite toasty in the studio here. And so I at least need to make sure I have some kind of air going on in here. All righty. This week's schedule, I wanted to just kind of go over it quickly. Actually, the next couple weeks, it's going to get dicey here. This week, I will be doing a live stream tomorrow night in addition to Wine and Crime Wednesday. So we're going to have Taco About It Tuesday tomorrow. Hey, Jillian, thanks for joining in. Tomorrow is going to be a little bit of an update on, I say it's more than just Dr. Shacknofsky. It's kind of going to be like, hey, let's get a little bit of an update on everything. So if there are cases that you either know some updates on or ones that you want updates on, we're going to have a little bit of a wing it night tomorrow night because I feel like there's a lot going on and we just kind of need a mishmash night. It's going to be a smorgasbord. How about that? We'll just have a smorgasbord of all the different cases. And so that's what tomorrow night is going to be. But primarily, I'll be covering Shacknofsky. Then Wednesday, I am going to have a guest. I don't think you all know this guest. Maybe you do. But Alexa from Alexa's Room is going to be joining me, and we are going to have a discussion. And I'm telling you this so you can get caught up. We're going to talk about the Netflix program, The Crash. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you might want to put that on your to-do list between now and Wednesday evening because it's something else. And she and I are going to have a lot to say about it. Oh, good. Yes. Alexa's Room. That's exactly who's going to be joining me on Wednesday. That is the plan. And Chaos Granny, I would love a Zachary Adams update. There is nothing. I've even reached out to Dr. Spirko and I've reached out to Dana and there's just nothing. There's no sort of update. I wish there were, but nothing so far. So that is the plan for this week. Next week, this is part of the reason I'm doing Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday this week. Next week, Monday is Memorial Day. Y'all, I can tell you right now, Ms. D's got a life. I ain't going to be on here on Monday. It's not going to happen. And Wine and Crime Wednesday next week, that's the night before I leave to go to CrimeCon. And I got to get the old wig trimmed up that night. And I got to pack. So I won't be live streaming on at all, actually, next week. I may try to do some small shorts while I'm at CrimeCon. So just to kind of give you all a little update on how things are going there. But a full-on live stream while I'm in studio, not going to happen next week. But we're going to have 3 shows this week to try to kind of make up for that. And then I will not be back until Monday, and my flight doesn't come in until later in the evening Monday. So the next live stream will be Wine and Crime Wednesday, June 3rd. So that's kind of what's happening over the next couple weeks. And I already know that June 3rd live stream is going to be a debrief from CrimeCon. That's what we have coming up on the docket. Tonight, I don't know if you remember all those pages that I was like, this is a lot to read and we're already 2 hours in. I'm not doing this right now. So we're going to finish that up on Old Courthouse Becky. Oh, Lord, Courthouse Becky. She has screwed everything up 50-12 ways from Sunday. That woman. Alex getting a new trial because of her yapping trap that she couldn't keep shut. So we're going to dig into all of the documents and what actually happened. Some of this, the first document that I'm going to read is Becky Hill's answer to the original complaint. And I think it's important to get some reference as to A, what was in the original complaint, and B, what she is claiming the truth is, air quotes, intentional. So that's where we're going to start. And then the second document that I'm going to cover is, I'm in the wrong stinking thing here. Hold the phone. There we go. The second document I'm going to cover is the motion to stay. There are some interesting tidbits of information in that document as well. And hello, Debbie. And Murphy is back with us again. Yes, I literally was going live tonight, Murphy, and I saw that Alex has sued Becky Hill. Yep, sure did. So that's where we stand on that. Let me tell you something else that someone, and I don't even remember who it was at this point, someone turned me on to another tentacle from the Murdaugh case, and that is Eric Bland. Yeah, there's stuff that involves Eric Bland. So if we have time tonight, we're going to go right on over to the Eric Bland business and see what we can find out as to what is happening with all of that, because there's more. Again. So here we are. I hope you all are hydrated. I'm water bound this evening because there's going to be a lot of reading. So I got to make sure that the old whistle stays wet. Oh, it was Murphy that sent it to me. Well, thank you, Murphy. Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you. I couldn't remember who it was. It was someone on the Twix. I knew that. And some of you have different names on the Twix than you have here in the tubes of you. So it's hard. I'm just an old lady. I shouldn't say old. I'm a middle-aged lady trying to learn new tricks. So, you know. But let's get into the document, shall we? Let's make this a bigger so I can read what the heck is going on. Oh, Murphy, are you one of those that has troll accounts? Don't tell me that, Murphy. All righty. So this is from August 21st, 2023. And it is South Carolina Ethics Commission, Dear Investigator Bagnell. On behalf of my client, Becky Hill, I'd like to formally respond to the allegations pending against her at the South Carolina Ethics Commission. You have indicated that the focus of this investigation was on Mrs. Hill's participation on matters for which it's been alleged that is unethical for an elected servant to represent. That representation is in accord with our review of the complaints. Who is this from? I feel certain that you are aware that the complainant has, in the past and continuing today, made spurious allegations regarding my client and other members of the Colleton County Courthouse. These allegations will hopefully end once addressed as Mrs. Hill continues her role of clerk of court. This was back in 23, y'all. Let's not forget, we've time traveled back. These non-meritorious complaints were lodged by two people who find sport in attacking good, honest members of our community. Oh, please spare me. By two people who find sport in attacking good, honest members of our community who have sacrificed a tremendous amount of time and effort to make Colleton County Courthouse one of the best in the state. Please spare me. She made it a mockery is what she did. These complaints are noted in complaints C-2023-087 and C-2023-094. The complaints are bereft of any evidence of wrongdoing. Interestingly, the complaint of each is based on jealous and judgmental opinions of a supposed longtime friendship between the people involved. It asks this commission to conduct a fishing expedition, one that investigates a person rather than a set of facts. The complaints are random and petty. Accordingly, we ask that these complaints be dismissed for failure to allege any unlawful conduct. Oh, I don't think so. That's not exactly how that went down. Before addressing the substance of these allegations, I would like to briefly introduce you to my client, Mrs. Becky Hill. Becky is married to the former assessor of Colleton County, who is now retired and is the mother of 2 adult children. She has 2 adorable grand boys. Becky has worked for the past 17 years in the judicial community, first as an official state court reporter for 14 years, and then she was elected as the clerk of court in Colleton County in 2020 and has served the past 3 years as the clerk of court. Becky has been active in church all of her life and attends Faith Assembly in Walterboro. She has played piano and sang on the praise team and has taught the elementary children's Sunday school class. Becky is also a sign language interpreter for the surrounding communities when called upon. Now that's very cool. I didn't know that. You go, Becky. That's a cool, I don't want to say talent, but skill. Becky is a board member for a nonprofit organization called Community Innovations, which is very active in the community of Walterboro. And yes, Anne, in other words, Becky knew better. Yeah. Unfortunately, I think Becky FAFO'd, if you know what I mean. I can think of some other people in my life right now that are going to be getting a little FAFO'd too. 1, regarding the allegations of unethical behavior of Mrs. Hill at the beginning of the trial, that Mrs. Hill utilized her authority of the Colleton County Courthouse of taxpayer money outside the scope of routine court business through interviews with various media sources, admits she planned to write a book as soon as she adjudicated trial to Colleton County. Throughout the last 17 years in judicial service, Mrs. Hill has often thought the cases in which she has been involved were interesting and would make an epic read, not unlike the bestsellers from authors like John Grisham to Mary Higgins Clark. Unfortunately, those are fiction writers. I don't know. Might be a little different there, 6, 7, just saying. Becky. This is not uncommon to members of the legal community throughout our state. In this instance, as the trial progressed, Mrs. Hill began to keep a journal. I bet she did, which memorialized her impressions of the trial, the actors, and the evidence. This information was not proprietary, nor was it privileged to the litigants or in any way subject to being sealed from the public domain. The daily interactions and happenings of this trial were such that it has become known as the trial of the century. It depends on who you talk to about that. This story really wrote itself, and Mrs. Hill wrote all of it in her journal. This journal later became the primary source of information for her book. She didn't. It wrote itself because somebody else wrote it. That's why. You all know she didn't write that stuff. Come on now. Mrs. Hill used her position to make contacts prior to the trial that could assist her in this endeavor. These admissions can be discovered in local news sources and social media posts. This is where the black is what the allegation is, and the red is her response. In or about October of 2022, Judge Newman authorized cameras in the courtroom for what by then had become the largest trial in the history of our state. The clerk of court's office and Mrs. Hill was tasked with accommodating the numerous media outlets, print, audio, or live feed media, which was no small task. Oh, so she had to do her job? You don't get medals for doing your job. Over the next 2 months, Mrs. Hill and her staff accommodated numerous requests for accommodations during the trial, which was to begin on January 23rd, 2023. As a result of Judge Newman's order leading up to trial, Mrs. Hill was required to address these issues with a myriad of news media, including but not limited to Court TV, Netflix, Texas Crew Industries, and almost every newspaper outlet in the Southeast. The media, this is unbelievable. The media's requirements ranged from dedicated space outside of the courthouse, dedicated space inside the courthouse, and access to the trial. It was Mrs. Hill's obligation to deal with the requests of the numerous media affiliates. Imagine if Mrs. Hill had not dealt with these matters prior to the trial. What? Certainly, Judge Newman appreciated her efforts and the orderly environment with respect to the media that she created and maintained throughout the trial. This has absolutely nothing to do with anything other than, yeah, she did her job. Also, to this point, it was also up to Mrs. Hill that the city, the county, law enforcement, the state, and her courthouse be portrayed in a positive light by the media. Well, she blew that, didn't she? She believed that the relationship with the media should be a positive factor in portraying our state and town in a positive light. You just said that. Looking back on the trial, there should be no doubt that her efforts in this regard were so successful. Y'all, I got to check something here. I'm starting to get a little torqued. And I don't mean to get torqued about things, but I want to check something quickly. I'm trying to find out who the blessed attorney was on this. And usually it's at the end, and I am not finding that. Oh, we got bank records, y'all. Let me continue here. Sorry, I got distracted. Don't mean to get distracted. Who is her stinking attorney? Maybe at the bottom of this? No, I guess it could be Courtney Laster. Is that who her counsel was? Whoever it was, good grief. All right, let me get back to what I was saying here. During the trial, Hill used her political position and authority to obtain confidential information and digital images of the defendant and others during the trial. Hey, Holly, thanks for joining us. I think you may have emailed me some things, and that's probably going to be stuff that we cover tomorrow. Thank you so much, by the way. This allegation is patently false and is an example of the complainant's filing a non-meritorious complaint. As Mr. Simmons' fiancé is a member of the Solicitor's Office of the 14th Circuit, the complainant knows that there is a public security camera located in the entrance hallway of the courthouse. He is also aware that this monitors at least 15 areas of the courthouse at all hours during the day. This camera footage can be seen by everyone entering the Colleton County Courthouse as they pass by the bailiff's security entrance or congregate in the foyer of the courthouse. At some point during the deliberations of the trial, Gary Hale, a former law enforcement officer who is now a member of the Clerk of Court staff, used his cell phone to take a picture from the public security camera previously referenced that is in the public hallway entrance of the courthouse. Why would you do that? Sometime thereafter, after the trial, Mrs. Hill forwarded the picture to her friend, Melissa Gordon, who placed the photo on a social media post. Mrs. Hill did not encourage or ever suggest that the photograph be released in a public forum. Interestingly, the photo was not included in the book, Behind the Doors of Justice. Dun, dun, dun. Sorry, I may have to do that every time I have to say Behind the Doors of Justice. Dun, dun, dun. At the conclusion of the trial, Hill was interviewed by Netflix and responsible for releasing unredacted body camera footage. As was discussed earlier, Mrs. Hill was the principal contact for all national and local media outlets. Her goal of having Walterboro and South Carolina portrayed in a positive light continued beyond the trial. After the verdict, Mrs. Hill agrees that she participated in events regarding the Murdaugh trial. These events included Netflix, print media, and investigative journalists. The goal of these interviews was never to promote Becky Hill. Really? The singular goal was to promote the justice that had occurred and the ruling of law that had so respectfully been demonstrated in Colleton County during the Murdaugh trial. Really? Really? This was not to promote Becky? I am not buying that. This was all about her selling books. I agree with old Poot. Oh, that's right. I was thinking it was McCullough was maybe her attorney, but Justin Bamberg. Well, this, yeah, not a fan. Invariably, during these interviews, Mrs. Hill was asked, how did you pull this off? In every instance, Mrs. Hill was that we as a community came together with an executive plan. Not once will you find an interview of Mrs. Hill touting herself as the principal actor in the matter relating to Alex Murdaugh. As to the exhibits released to Netflix, the clerk of court's office, after the sentencing, the clerk's office received numerous requests from entities such as the Attorney General's office, the defense team, SLED, and other media outlets. What does that sentence even say? One of the outlets, Netflix, requested all trial exhibits as well, which my staff and I emailed to them just as we had with the previous referenced entities. There was no difference in the production that went to anyone. A short time later, within 3 or 4 days, SLED contacted the Attorney General's office, who contacted Mrs. Hill and expressed concern that 2 sealed exhibits had been provided to all parties who were previously referenced. Mrs. Hill explained that Netflix had received the exact same procedure and exhibits, and that she would immediately notify them that they had received sealed exhibits and that they needed to immediately be destroyed and could not, under any circumstances, be released to the public. Murphy, you do? Oh boy. I don't want to pay for it, but I sure would like to know what kind of mess she portrays in this fiction that she passed as nonfiction. On June 23rd, 2023, Judge Newman conducted a hearing in Columbia requesting this release and ordered that these 2 exhibits be sealed. Mrs. Hill has provided this order to Netflix, who again confirmed their compliance with the previous request in the court order. Per Judge Newman's order, Netflix immediately destroyed and deleted from the records these 2 exhibits from their records. Who wrote this? From their records. If Justin Bamberg wrote this, sir, we need to have a chat, because this is awful. Maybe I'm being too picky, but this is not written well. This is not a Betterow letter. I'm just saying. And it's not double spaced. On the 2nd anniversary of Murdaugh murders, Hill appeared in a Walterboro Live article acknowledging release of her book. In this article, Hill claims the book will detail interactions with Murdaugh, attorney tensions, witnesses, and jurors. I submit that releasing this information to the public could have an adverse effect in upholding the conviction of Murdaugh in the event of an appeal. Well, no truer words were spoken or written in this case. Oh boy. As was previously outlined, Mrs. Hill has been updating a journal throughout the Murdaugh trial before making a final decision on whether to publish a book based upon her observations at the trial. She contacted numerous legal sources as well as this commission. Mrs. Hill's question to the commission and attorney Jay Bender was crystal clear. She inquired whether it was appropriate for a clerk of court to write a book about the process of trial from beginning to end, focusing on the process itself, the nature of it, and the course of the high-profile case in South Carolina. Sure, Jan, that's what it was about. In short, she asked this commission and Jay Bender whether ethics legislation restricted a clerk of court from receiving compensation from writing a book that was related to a trial within her jurisdiction. Attached, please find letters from Courtney Laster and Jay Bender regarding 813-720, which we agree is the controlling statute in this matter as to this issue. Hey, USMC. Thanks for joining. As such, Mrs. Hill agreed to publication of her book only after seeking the approval of both this commission and Jay Bender. Additionally, prior to publication, Mrs. Hill spoke with South Carolina Chief Justice Donald Beatty, Judge Clifton Newman, and other attorneys publishing this book, the book at issue. What does that even say? Not one single legal mind expressed concern that the release of this book could, would, or should have an adverse effect in upholding the conviction of Murdaugh in the event of an appeal. Really? Well, we've got an appeal and we've got ourselves a brand new trial. Way to go, Baxter. And you are the sole reason, as far as I can tell, based on what the ruling was, you are the sole reason. It's all you. You should be very proud. You will forever be linked to Alex Murdaugh because of your ridiculous, inappropriate behavior during his trial. Way to go, Becky. Unbelievable. Hill allows guided tours of the Colleton County Courthouse during normal business hours for donations. Hill tells attendees the donations are to replace the front windows of the courthouse. It is also known a male tourist wrote a check to Colleton County in the amount of $100 as a donation for a tour. Hill later ordered a staff member to alter the check by striking through Colleton County and adding her name to the check. Hill then deposited the check into her personal bank account. The denotations are unaccounted for as there are no receipts being issued, and it is unknown what financial institution and account the donations are being held in. Oh, I want to hear about this. First and foremost, the Colleton County Courthouse is a public building and its access is limited only by someone's ability to make it through a metal detector. That's the only limit. After the trial, the clerk's office was inundated with requests for tours of the courthouse. To accommodate these oh my gosh, there's a lot that she has to say. To accommodate these requests in an orderly fashion and to maintain the order of the courthouse, Mrs. Hill, after consultation with administration, law enforcement, and county council, Mrs. Hill decided to allow guided tours of the Colleton County Courthouse during normal business hours. The allegation that Mrs. Hill tells attendees that donations were expected is patently false. This commission can interview over 900 people that have toured her courthouse. It's not her courthouse. And not one will tell that they were solicited 1 penny by Mrs. Hill. None of these tours were conducted by Mrs. Hill. All of these tours were conducted by Colleton County bailiffs, and none were conducted in a manner that delayed or interrupted proceedings at the courthouse during the course of business. I don't think that makes a difference. That's not what their allegations say. It's not about whether it disrupted any proceedings or interrupted anything. The issue is that she was telling people they had to pay in order to get a tour of the very public courthouse. Right, Mrs. Georgia Mom? Why would she even say out loud book until afterwards? I mean, how dumb. We are talking Becky Hill. You know. Mrs. Hill is aware that on occasion some bailiffs may have received a tip from tourists visiting the courthouse. However, she never asked about it and no records were kept or requested of this pay. I don't know. Maybe you decline it. I mean, I've had a lot of jobs in the past that I couldn't take tips and stuff and gifts. How about you just go, yeah, I appreciate that, but not necessary. Mrs. Hill did not receive any monies as a result of these tours. Well, we'll see, because we happen to know there's a deposit slip and some other stuff in the exhibitees. I know the color coding. Isn't that great, Kristen? I love the color coding, the letter. Never seen a legal doc like that before. Exactly. The allegation that Mrs. Hill ordered a staff member to alter a $100 check and add her name to the check is equally untrue and preposterous. While it is accurate that one tourist wrote a check to Colleton County Courthouse in the amount of $100, this check was accounted for as to courthouse windows and was deposited by the Colleton County Finance Department as such. Attached as Exhibit 3, please find the Colleton County transmittal form indicating that on June 1st, 2023, check number 2195 was deposited and recorded into financial records for courthouse windows. At no point did this check have Mrs. Hill's name associated with it, and Mrs. Hill categorically denies the allegations regarding this check being deposited into her bank account. Well, there'd be records. When you make a deposit, they scan a picture of the instrument that you're depositing. This accusation is particularly offensive as the source of this information is a former employee of Mrs. Hill's who has since left the clerk's office and moved on to filing false claims against Mrs. Hill. Oh, I want to know who that is, because I would like to have them on my channel. To support the fact that this is a false allegation attached, please find Exhibit 4, which is an email supporting the previous exhibit, whereby the check was deposited and recorded by the Finance Department for courthouse windows. In this email, you will note that Laura Hayes is aware that Mrs. Hill, in fact, accepted a check number 2195 in the amount of $100, and that Laura Hayes was the one who told him to write the check payable to Colleton County. This email further indicates that it was she who sent the check to finance. One might imagine that this commission should discount everything, every allegation, and should closely scrutinize every allegation made by her husband's friend, Arthur Trey Simmons, based upon this glaring misstatement of fact. Are y'all as lost as I am as to how these people have anything to do with each other? Because if this is the answer, I'm not getting it. Like, I'm getting 2 and 2 is 5. Oh, yes, I'm well aware, Murphy, of her son. Yep. That was all went down in the same year, all in 2023. It was a big year, I remember. On June 2nd, 2023, and June 16th, 2023, Michael DeWitt was permitted to hold a book signing and sell his books in the courtroom. I think we talked about this before. Let's see what she has to say. Look at, oh my word. I'm sorry, Kristen. I missed something. Rude. I appreciate that, but I was also told by my grandmother to never use the word, but when describing or telling something, it's a filler word, not proper way to use it. I don't know what word we're talking about, but give me more, girl. I don't want to offend anyone. So, oh, not me. Okay. As long as I'm not being rude and offending anyone. Again, the Colleton County Courthouse is a public county building upon 5 days a week, 8 hours a day, to be enjoyed at the clerk's discretion by all citizens. Prior to allowing Mr. DeWitt's book signing, Mrs. Hill contacted court administration and talked to county council members to determine whether there were any conflicts. I think it's not a good look. Just saying. Mrs. Hill thoughtfully considered every angle when making plans for this. She and her staff talked about the potential occurrences that could be going on and reached out to every possible entity to ask them if they needed this courtroom on a Friday afternoon. Mrs. Hill contacted court administration to make sure there were no scheduled terms of court happening that day, law enforcement, family court, and general sessions, and nothing scheduled by the judges that the clerk's office was not aware of. That is the most convoluted sentence I can think of. Mrs. Hill contacted court administration. After making these inquiries, Mrs. Hill was informed that it was just going to be another quiet Friday afternoon at the courthouse in Walterboro. Historically, Fridays in Walterboro involve a slower paced atmosphere, especially during non-court weeks, and attorneys' offices close half a day and courthouse business is very slow. Based on the foregoing, she allowed Michael DeWitt to hold a book signing in the courtroom of the Colleton County Courthouse. In her mind, it was another opportunity to show her community in a good light. In no way did she receive any benefit from this book signing. Okay, I got to talk about this whole book signing thing because here's where I'm struggling. I don't feel like a government building should be used to promote anything that provides profit to an individual. I rather like Michael DeWitt. I think that he has very good investigative journalism. I have absolutely nothing against him. I just think it's in really poor taste. And I don't understand why it was necessary. I don't get it. I don't understand. It didn't need to happen. It just added fuel to the fire. Just saying. Oh, and during the tours, Hill was promoting her book. Does anybody believe that? Because I believe that. As was previously indicated, Mrs. Hill has never given a tour of the courthouse. We again invite the complainant to produce one witness that participated in a tour to corroborate this false allegation. This allegation is another instance where her former employee, Laura Hayes, has twisted the facts to fit her narrative. On one occasion with the tourist, New York Supreme Court Justice Kathy King, and while in the presence of Laura Hayes, Mrs. Hill did, in fact, have a conversation about her book. This conversation happened prior to publication and, most importantly, over lunch after the tour, not during the tour. I thought she didn't have anything to do with the tour. Huh. The fact that Mrs. Hayes has twisted and contorted this accusation into the promotion of the book during the tours is again where you should bring her credibility into question. Hill has also permitted her staff members to leave work before the close of business to allow members of Netflix to set up equipment in the courthouse for the purpose of filming footage for the upcoming Netflix series. Where'd my mouse go? There we go. The complainant evidently has his days mixed up because on July 10th, the staff was let go early due to weather. Interestingly, the attached email demonstrates that again. Laura Hayes, the former deputy clerk of Mrs. Hill, is in fact the individual that sent out the email authorizing the staff to leave early. No exceptions. Oh, ma'am. That... Okay, this is one of those things where you have to like pay attention to the words. Because this Laura Hayes is the one that sent the email. But what we don't know is that Becky may have told Laura Hayes to send everybody home early because Netflix was coming in, but to tell everybody if they ask that it's due to weather. Like, yeah. That isn't any kind of evidence for me whatsoever. That's redonkulous. Absolutely redonkulous. The former deputy clerk of Mrs. Hill is in fact the individual that sent out the email authorizing the staff to leave early. No exceptions. That doesn't mean anything. On June 14th, 2023, there was a post in the Facebook group Murdaugh Murders Case Discussion. In the post, there is a digital image of Alex Murdaugh. Melissa Gordon stated this image was taken from the security camera monitor during the deliberations and minutes before Murdaugh's conviction. This shows Becky Hill permitted Gordon unimpeded access to the Colleton County Courthouse and facilitated her in taking digital images that no other citizen was permitted to have. The issue of complaint was addressed previously in number 4 herein. Mrs. Gordon did not take the photograph and Mrs. Hill did not facilitate this image to be broadcast or request anyone to take a picture of this image during the jury deliberations. As to this allegation, Mrs. Hill has already addressed many of these issues. I'm gonna say that if she would have just kept her nose clean and kept her mouth shut about the book, maybe this wouldn't have turned out this way. Regarding the allegation that Melissa Gordon, who was allowed into the courthouse every day of the trial, even though it was admitted there was limited amount of seating for spectators and that entrance was permitted on a first-come, first-served basis. In the post, there was a link to additional images. When the reader clicks on the link, it takes the reader to the Behind the Doors of Justice, dun, 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 website where Hill's book can be purchased. As the days passed, Hill continued to participate in interviews with multiple sources. She admitted to formulating a plan to writing a book when she heard the trial would be held in Colleton County. She also admitted to meeting Melissa Gordon at the beginning of the trial and discovered she was a photographer. Gordon was soon hired to be the photographer of Hill's book. This information can be found by listening to the podcast Impact of Influence, episode 130, a behind-the-scenes look at the Murdaugh trial. I never got a response from Seton Tucker, sadly. So here we are. As to this allegation, Mrs. Hill has already addressed many of these issues. It should be noted that Melissa Gordon, if interviewed, would tell this commission that she first met Mrs. Hill on March 2nd, 2023, almost 6 weeks into the trial. I didn't think the trial was much more than 6 weeks. Am I missing something? Anyway, wasn't he like found guilty on March 4th or some craziness? Mrs. Gordon would also tell this commission that she and her friend lined up every morning, sometimes as early as 5:30 a.m., to get in line for a trial seat, and that not once was she ever allowed any special dispensations by Mrs. Hill. Finally, the podcast referenced by complainant actually is mischaracterized, as during the podcast, Mrs. Hill actually states that she met Mrs. Gordon at the next to the last day of trial and not at the beginning of the trial. Yet another complete fabrication of the truth by the complainant in this matter. Regarding the allegations involving Mrs. Hill unethically and potentially unlawfully using her political office to obtain and release confidential information. Again, this spurious allegation is not supported by the facts. Mrs. Hill has been careful to abide by the state ethics opinion from Courtney Laster and the opinion from Jay Bender, and her conversations, which are numerous with lawyers and judges to make sure she is in compliance with all ethical rules and regulations. Please refer back to Exhibits 1 and 2 attached. She has used her office and misallocated funds to promote her book and the book written by Michael DeWitt. As has been previously addressed, Mrs. Hill never used her office to promote her book, never misallocated funds. For the reasons previously discussed, Mrs. Hill denies using her office for personal gains, misallocating funds, or gains, or using her office to promoting the book by Mr. DeWitt. Good Lord, do you see how misspelled all of that is at the end? Becky's book is selling for $290 on eBay. I bet Becky's the one selling them too. Especially because if she didn't misallocate funds, why did she have to pay money back? Why? Hill has neglected the office of the clerk of court to take several trips to promote her book and to meet with Netflix to secure her position in the upcoming series. Okay, she's got a lot to say about this. So this is another example of an allegation that is completely untrue and without merit. The fact is that the book was not even published until July 26, 2023, and Mrs. Hill did not take one day off until after that day to promote her book. As this complaint was made on June 26th, 2023, as of the date that this complaint was made, Mrs. Hill had not taken one single day off to promote her book. How would they know ahead of time? Unless she was actually taking time off and calling it something else. I don't trust Becky. Becky's a liar. I have watched Becky lie on the witness stand in front of the Honorable Justice Toll. I don't believe her. Nor had Mrs. Hill taken one single day off to meet with Netflix to secure her position in the upcoming series. These allegations are patently false. They don't even make sense according to the actual timeline of events related to the complaint and the publication of her book. In conclusion, the complainant offers no evidence in support of the numerous spurious allegations. As a result of this investigation, this complaint, Mrs. Hill has been forced to bear the expense of retaining legal counsel to defend against those unsubstantiated allegations and has spent a great deal of time responding to this complaint that could have otherwise been spent the same way she has spent the last 3 years, working to make Colleton County a better place for its citizens. Ma'am, seriously? We respectfully request that this commission accept this response to this meritless complaint as the final word to an otherwise successful tenure as a public servant. Well, that didn't go down the way that she was expecting. As the Honorable Clifton Newman stated, please do not throw shade on my man, Judge Newman. No. There are judges that I will not allow any shade to be even hinted at. And Judge Newman is one of them. Judge Everett is one of them. Judge Mrazek is one of them. Yeah, you do not get to throw shade at any of those people. I have a lot to say about it. As the Honorable Clifton Newman stated previously to a courtroom full of people, Mrs. Hill's efforts during the trial was to be commended as she brought a watching world together during a high-profile murder trial that lasted 6 long weeks. Through her efforts and that of her staff at the Colleton County Courthouse, the trial was conducted in an orderly and efficient manner, and through her planning and effortless handling of day-to-day operations, The integrity of the judicial process was maintained throughout the entire 6-week-long trial. No, actually, it wasn't. Not even remotely, because Alex getting a new trial. You failed miserably at every part of this trial where you were supposed to keep the integrity of the judicial process. We hope that the last word regarding her service is that of Judge Newman and not of this complainant, and not allow this complaint to go forward. We respectfully request that this commission accept this response to the meritless complaint as the final word to an otherwise selfless tenure as a public servant. I don't know why they have to repeat things so much. Continuing on, this is Laura Hayes' actual complaint. That's what we just saw. I'm not sure why we're seeing this again. Yeah, this is a lot of the same thing. I'm not going to read all of this. What? During the trial, the Colleton County Courthouse staff allowed the press and local attorneys to bring into the courthouse coffee and food. These food items were provided out of necessity. The days were long and the hours numerous, and the courthouse staff, along with attorneys and media, were drinking coffee all day. It seems like a good idea to allow them to bring in these food items to be available during the trial. Oh, she's trying to say that's what the supposed gifts were. Hey, Serenity, thanks for coming and hanging out with us for the nonsense of Becky Hill. Let's move on. My patience with Miss Becky and her responses. This is the part I wanted to see. I believe there is a misuse of DSS child support incentive funds. Bonuses were given to employees from this money that do not and have never worked on child support files or helped with child support collection. Furniture and office supplies have also been paid for out of this account that should not have been. I asked her one time if it was ethical for her to write herself a bonus check, and she said it's federal money, right? And I said I didn't want her to go to jail for unethical behavior, and she said she heard federal prison was pretty comfy. What? Oh boy, Becky. Talk about cooking your goose. Oh, KS Granny, please be safe. Please, please. Straight line winds are awful. They're worse than tornadoes. Please, please take care of yourself. Go in your safe space if you need. This will be available to you later. Mrs. Hayes takes an innocent statement out of context and attempts to turn it into an admission to an ethics violation. However, she again fails to tell the whole story in the context of this conversation. As to the entire conversation, while Mrs. Hill acknowledges making a comment in jest about jail, what Mrs. Hayes conveniently leaves out is her response, which was also in jest, her response being that she would be right there beside her too. Exhibit 6 clearly shows that these two were not being serious and were not conspiring in any way to commit an ethics violation. They were joking about the use of federal funds by the clerk's office. Really? As to the actual use of these funds, it is clear that nothing inappropriate occurred regarding DSS 4D incentive funds. As in Exhibit 7, please find the DSS contract as it relates to this allegation, which clearly allows that incentive monies can be used for any items used for child support purposes in family court. Had the complainant bothered to review this contract before alleging that Mrs. Hill had misappropriated these funds, she would have known that bonuses and furniture are allowable to the clerk of court and her staff for bonuses to the extent that they participated in any support role in family court. Why did she have to pay money back if she didn't do anything wrong? I'm still back on that. Murphy says, since I was a warden for the Bureau of Prisons, I would be happy to show her to a cell in the prison. I showed Martha Stewart around in Alderson. I think Martha did pretty well in federal prison, though. It seems like she handled it in stride. I got to give props. As to all matters relating to her book that was published, Behind the Doors of Justice, dun dun dun, Mrs. Hill relies on her previous response to complaint number 2023-087. Reimbursement. Supposedly she has a way to, I got to go forward here and see. We might need to look at these exhibits. I'm more interested in the exhibits. Let's see here. Oh, crikey. This thing's all twisted. Let me see if I can rotate it. Well, view tools. No. I want to rotate this bad boy. All right. Well, clearly that's not going to happen. But what does this thing say? Question regarding potential ethical issues related to authorship of a book. This is from Becky. Thanks for the opportunity to lawyer your book. I have indicated a couple of areas that give me concern for potential libel and invasion of privacy claims. Feel free to call if you have questions. The book would benefit from the services of 2 professional copy editor. I think that's what it says. I made some editing notes, but others are far better. You tell a great tale and tell it well. Good luck and hello to Tommy. Oh. The writing of a book. I want to know about the funds. I want to know. This is all what she was told by general counsel. What the heck? Clerk of court position. What's the date on this bad boy? April 28th. This would have been after the trial. Transmittal form. We heard about this. Courthouse windows. $100. Edwards, check number 2195. Money received for the day of June 1st. Okay. Submitted to finance. Has no prepared by, so I don't know how they know that Laura Hayes is the one that did this, because I don't see a name. John Carpenter. Laura, please send over and we will make sure we account for it against the cost of the window replacement project. Hi, Rebecca. I will be traveling through. Have an interest in your courthouse. Carrying on. I came by and toured the courthouse yesterday and really enjoyed the experience. The bailiffs were very kind and giving of their time. I spoke to one of the staff members about funding for historic preservation projects and wrote a check for $100. There are resources available at the state and national level that could be sourced for your future renovation projects on your building. I appreciate you allowing me to tour. Becky says to go ahead and start packing up and leave by 4:30. No exceptions. She wants us to leave due to weather. Go ahead and clock out. Polly will fix time tomorrow. You see how this is written, just like I said before I ever even looked at this thing. Becky says. Oh, these are text messages. Oh, goody goody gumdrops. Let's read. October 7th. Does that mean you can't have a bonus? Well, that is federal money since 4D funds, right? Something about find out you don't need to go to jail for unethical behavior. Right. Although I hear federal prison is pretty comfy. Mm-hmm. This is back in 2021. I don't know what that's all about. The DSS, show me the money. This is some policy is what they're getting at. Here we go. I don't see that it is scribbled out and says Becky Hill. I bet there was another one. Y'all want to bet there was another one? I bet there was another one that went into Becky's account. Because otherwise, why would they have all this? Okay, so there is the first document. Let's head on to the motion to stay. And this is 63 pages long. I am not intending on reading all 63 pages, just so you are all aware. But I do intend on at least making sure that we skim the important parts of it. All right. This is the appellate request. Motion to suspend appeal and for leave to file motion for new trial. Y'all don't want me to lose my voice. We got 2 more nights to cover stuff. Okay, this is all the garbledy-gook about why they are filing it, and it's old Poot that's filing it. Let me see if I can make this just a little bigger. Perfect. And Jim Griffin, of course. Exhibit 1. He is moving for the court for a new trial. Here we go. Specifically, during trial, the Colleton County Clerk of Court, Rebecca Hill, instructed jurors not to be misled by evidence presented in Mr. Murdaugh's defense. She told jurors not to be fooled by Mr. Murdaugh's testimony in his own defense. Ms. Hill had frequent private conversations with the jury foreperson, a court-appointed substitution for the foreperson the jury elected for itself at the request of Ms. Hill. During the trial, Ms. Hill asked jurors for their opinions about Mr. Murdaugh's guilt or innocence. What? I don't know. I don't know about that. All this. Hey, SD Surf Girl. Is that San Diego Surf Girl? Well, thanks for joining. We're happy to have you. Let me back up. Does anybody on here know who James from Court is? Y'all let me know in the chat. And oh, good, San Diego Surf Girl. I love your picture. I was just telling someone at work today, I saw a little baby Jesus and I said, I don't have a little baby Jesus. Oh, hey, we must be getting a raid. Hey, FOMO, because she's coming from Take It to Trial. And Amy Murray, Camper for Life. Oh, yes. Okay, James from Court. I have been a fan of James from Court and followed him since Johnny Depp Amber Heard. Long time ago. I think he's got some inside scoop on this particular, the shenanigans that may have been afoot during the Murdaugh trial. And the reason I say that is he had made some comments on the Twix. And I'm hoping, I was hoping to get him to respond. And I commented and said, I would love to have you on my channel to discuss this, because he was in court every day for Alex Murdaugh's trial. And I think there is a lot more to the story than what has been portrayed. And before I get too far into this particular legal document, my perspective on it is they need to prove to me that that there was grave misconduct. Hey, take it to trial. Thanks for hanging out. Happy to have you all here. Thanks for the raid. So I have a lot of questions. If anybody has an in with James from court, I know he used to be very, very close with DUI guy, which is also known as Larry Foreman. I have not been able to get into any contact with either one of them to try to have them on. I would love to hear James from court's take on all of this, because he was there. And I know from going to Adelson, it's different when you're in the courtroom. It's different. Moving on. Ms. Hill invented a story about a Facebook post to remove a juror she believed might not vote guilty. Ms. Hill pressured the jurors to reach a quick verdict, telling them from the outset of their deliberations that it shouldn't take them long. Ms. Hill did these things to secure for herself a book deal and media appearances that would not happen in the event of a mistrial. Ms. Hill betrayed her oath of office for money and fame. Once these facts are proven, the law does not allow the court any discretion about how to respond. It must grant a new trial. Yes, FOMO Susie Q. Yes, I was at Donna Adelson's trial, not the entire time, but I was there for 2 very, very critical days. Wendy's testimony and Rob's testimony. And the day that they played all of the recording that Donna thought she had hung up. That was something. Hey, lady. I'm not sure I say that. I'm saying that right. But thanks for coming. We're happy to have you. And then this goes on to give some statement of facts. We know what happened. He was convicted. Court was not held on February 20th, which was President's Day. After returning from the holiday, Ms. Hill began to enter the jury rooms often. Affidavit of juror number 630, August 14th, 2023, is attached. As the defense began its case, Ms. Hill told jurors, y'all are going to hear things that will throw you all off. Don't let that distract you or mislead you. Now, I can tell you right now, if she was saying stuff like that, she needs to shut her freaking trap. Affidavit of Holly Miller, juror number 741. Additionally, Ms. Hill and juror number 826, the new jury foreperson, on multiple occasions went to another room to have private conversations lasting 5 or 10 minutes. Sometimes they would go into jury rooms, single occupancy, bathroom together. What? What is wrong? Hey, little drummer boy, thanks for joining. I don't know that I want to meet in a bathroom. Just saying. Ms. Hill even instructed jurors. I'm sorry, back up. 4-person juror number 826 never said anything about the content of those conversations to other jurors. Ms. Hill even instructed jurors they could not ask four-person juror number 826 about the conversations. Okay. 2 days later, on Thursday, February 23rd, and continuing through the next day, Mr. Murdaugh testified in his own defense. Before he began his testimony, Ms. Hill told jurors not to be fooled by the evidence Mr. Murdaugh's attorneys presented, which at least one juror understood to mean that Mr. Murdaugh would lie when he testified. Well, he has lied every other time he's ever opened his mouth. I think that might be a fair assumption that he would lie again. I don't think I'm going out on a limb with that. Before he began his Ms. Hill also instructed the jury to watch him closely and to look at his actions and to look at his movements, which at least one juror understood to mean that Mr. Murdaugh was guilty. Immediately after Mr. Murdaugh testified, four-person juror number 826 told the jury that Mr. Murdaugh was crying on cue. She also criticized the former four-person juror number 589 for handing Mr. Murdaugh a box of tissues when he was crying on the stand, because that is what the defense wants us to do. I thought it was rather gross how he was crying on the witness stand. Not so much the tears. The issue I had was the nasty, gross boogers that were sliding off of the end of his nose and dripping all over his suit. Sir, are you incapable of caring for yourself? Do you need your mommy there to come wipe your nose? Stop it. It was ridiculous. The next court day, after Mr. Murdaugh's testimony, Monday, February 27th, Ms. Hill told Judge Newman about a Facebook posting she purportedly saw on the evening of Friday, February 24th, the day Mr. Murdaugh's testimony concluded, while perusing a Facebook group page called Walterboro Word of Mouth. The post, purportedly by juror number 785's ex-husband, Tim Stone, allegedly stated that his ex-wife was saying that she was on the jury and saying stuff about how her verdict was going to be. Judge Newman asked her to produce a copy of the posting. She could not produce a copy. But according to Ms. Hill, a subordinate employee in the clerk's office, Lori Weiss, discovered that the post was taken down and replaced with an apology post. Folks, I posted an ugly post yesterday, to which I have deleted, and I kind of in a roundabout way directed it towards a certain person. I would like to apologize to everyone who read it. That ugly for me to do that. And yes, I let Satan control me, and I broke down and started drinking. And when I was drunk, I made that post, and I'm sorry. That's a lot in that run-on sentence. Holy cannoli. Rebecca Hill, behind the doors of justice, dun, dun, dun. At 97, Timothy Stone Facebook post, February 16th, 2023. The apology post states the initial post was already deleted on February 16th, so it would have been impossible for Ms. Hill to see the original post on February 24th. I take it to trial. Here's what's really super interesting. Yes, Poot says he's got new evidence. I have heard, or I watched on Dateline, I think it was Dateline, that they claim an individual has come forward and can tell them where the murder weapons were disposed. Yeah. They know. And I'm thinking to myself, that could be anywhere. Did they retrieve them? They know where they are, so go get them. Go get them. No kidding, San Diego surf girl. Poor Satan. No kidding. And hey, Billie Jean, you look like a new face and name. Thanks for joining us. Mr. Stone, juror number 785's ex-husband, Avers, in a sworn statement that avers in a sworn statement that he made no such post. Mr. Murdaugh has obtained an authentic download of the entirety of Mr. Stone's Facebook activity from January 23rd, 2023 to March 2nd, 2023, which confirms he did not post the apology. The supposed original post, if deleted, would not be recoverable at this point under Facebook's retention policies, and that he, in fact, never posted anything to the Walter Burrow word of mouth. Facebook page during the trial. Affidavit of Philip Barber. The person who made the apology post is an unrelated person, also named Tim Stone, whose Facebook profile picture is not juror number 785's ex-husband. So was there just a misunderstanding with the names? Is that what this is starting to sound like? Maybe, maybe Becky got a little excited, because we know how Becky is now. On February 23rd, I'm going to skim. This is a lot about this Facebook post. I don't want to read all these words. Juror number 785 told Ms. Hill that never happened and that she had not seen her ex-husband in 10 years. The juror asked to see the post, but Ms. Hill would not show it to her. Ms. Hill directly asked the juror whether she was inclined to vote guilty or not guilty, and juror 785 said she had not made up her mind. Oh, Lord, if that is true. But here's the problem. I don't remember. I don't remember these people testifying to this in front of Justice Toll. Am I missing something? Y'all tell me in the chat. I don't remember hearing that. I don't remember hearing anyone say anything other than kind of like these vague statements. Later that day, Ms. Hill told juror number 785 that Sled and Colleton County Sheriff's Office personnel went to Mr. Stone's house and he confirmed he made the post. This is a fabrication by Ms. Hill. Ms. Hill told the juror she would somehow reinstate a restraining order the juror previously had against Mr. Stone, which is something that Ms. Hill did not have the authority to do. This is insanity. Who believes any of this? Come on. Little Miss Becky can't reinstate a protective order. What are we doing? What I'm going to do right now is hydrate. But good grief. Still later that day, Judge Newman examined the juror regarding both the non-existent Facebook post and the tenant coworker email in camera. The juror described her interactions with Ms. Hill regarding the Facebook post. She denied making any inappropriate comments about the case to third parties and stated she wanted to hear closing arguments before forming an opinion on Mr. Murdaugh's guilt or innocence. After she was dismissed, Judge Newman said, "Oh boy, I'm not too pleased about the clerk interrogating a juror as opposed to coming to me and bringing it to me." He was right to be concerned. The next day, March 1st, the jury visited Moselle, the site of the murders. During the visit, foreperson and Ms. Hill walked off to have yet another private conversation. I find some of this hard to believe. The judge was at the viewing. Don't you think if this happened, somebody would have known? In her book, Ms. Hill more vaguely hints at communicating her opinion at Mr. Murdaugh's guilt to the jury during the visit to the Moselle property. While the jurors viewed the Moselle property, we all could hear and see Alex's story was impossible. Some of us, either from the courthouse, law enforcement, or jury at Moselle, had an epiphany and shared our thoughts with our eyes. At that moment, many of us standing there knew, I knew, and they knew that Alec was guilty. Now, here is something I actually can believe that happened. Have y'all been someplace and some crap goes down and you're with other people, and the people that you are with maybe aren't necessarily family or friends, maybe they're coworkers that I take that back. Maybe they're people that you've had to do training with, we'll say, for a period of time. And you develop a certain kind of bond by being with these people through this experience. In this particular case, the one I'm referring to would be training. And something happens and you all do that. You know, the eye, you're like, oh, you know, that one where you're like, y'all saw, right? We're together, like saw the same thing, right? Clocked it, totally clocked it. I can see where all the jurors would have maybe had that kind of a moment. So in Lion Becky's defense, I'll give her that on that one. That day, Judge Newman also held an in-camera conference regarding the tenant coworker email, in which he decided to revisit the Facebook post issue with Ms. Hill, the court. Okay, well, let me see what Becky is talking about. I wanted to revisit the Facebook post that you mentioned yesterday. Footnote 1, a coworker of a tenant of juror number 785 emailed the court on February 27th stating that the tenant said her landlord was a juror and had expressed an opinion when delivering a refrigerator to the property more than a week earlier. I mean, I'm sorry, it sounds like juror number 785 maybe had some other problems. Ms. Hill, right. Court. That's Becky Hill, the clerk of court. Can you tell us about that Facebook post? Yes, I think it was Friday evening. Just for a brief moment, I perused Facebook, got on Walter Burrow word of mouth, and saw where someone had said that, well, it was the ex-husband of a juror, and he said that he noticed that his ex-wife was saying that she was on the jury and saying stuff about how her verdict was going to be, and that he was the ex-husband, but she was known for talking way too much. And then I just kept on scrolling because that was enough for me. I've gotten enough. The court. And how did you determine who he was talking about? When I heard there was an email on Monday, I figured the two went together, if it was true. The court. Well, she's confirmed she has an ex-husband who she has 3 restraining orders out against. So, right. So then we looked on Monday after you told me to try to go back and look for it, and we couldn't find it. But then we found out his name, and we found the post and printed it out where he said that he had put something up, but that he had deleted it at the time, that he had put stuff out there that wasn't nice. The court. He said he got drunk afterwards. Mr. Metters. Something about the devil. No, sir, it was Satan. Oh, Mr. Harpootlian, didn't he say it was Satan in it? Ms. Hill, Satan was in it, yes. In all of the details, yes. The court, all right. Ms. Hill, made me do it. The court, okay. I just wanted to have that on the record. You're reading a Facebook post by the ex-husband who said it. Of course, you haven't talked with him, so you don't know where he got his information from. I don't. I can find it, though. But Ms. Hill never saw any such Facebook post. She made it up. Further, she knew the apology post was not posted by juror number 785's ex-husband. Juror number 785 showed Ms. Hill a picture of her ex-husband, which is not the Facebook profile picture of the other Mr. Stone's post about Satan. How did Satan come into all of this? The wheels have officially come off of this thing. What is happening? This is page 10, y'all, of 63. Just saying. Let me take a gander here. Do we have any exhibits at the end? I think we do. We have affidavits and stuff. All right. Yeah, San Diego surf girl. Everyone does blame him. I mean, right? Okay. The call-up the next day, March 2nd, the day of the verdict, juror number 785 received a call from her ex-husband that she did not answer. The call upset her because Ms. Hill's lies had led her to believe he was posting on Facebook about her and might be stalking her. The juror asked to speak with Ms. Hill. She told Ms. Hill she was scared. Ms. Hill told her that the Murdaughs probably got to him, meaning her ex-husband. Ms. Hill once again asked her opinion regarding Mr. Murdaugh's guilt. What? Why is she asking this all the time? The juror told her Colleton Waters' closing was good, but that she still had questions. Ms. Hill asked what questions, and the juror replied that she was concerned that no murder weapon was found. Ms. Hill then asked, well, what makes you think he's guilty? And the juror said, Paul's video at the dog kennels. Uh-huh. Then Ms. Hill then told juror that everything Mr. Murdaugh has said has been lies and that I should forget about the guns. They will never be seen again. Well, according to somebody else, that could still happen. I think it's all bovine scatology. Billie Jean, yes, I do believe that Becky was blaming Satan. Yeah, it's looking and sounding that way. Ms. Hill then asked the juror about the views of the rest of the jury, telling her that if the foreperson would just go in and ask for a raise in hands, this would be over and done with, and everyone needs to be on the same page. I have to say, if this is all true, this is why I want James from court to come on my channel. Anybody out there, find James from court for me. I want to talk to the man. Because if this is all true and Becky was flapping her gums this much, oh, South Carolina's got bigger problems. They got bigger problems. The juror went to the jury room and 10 minutes later was excused from the jury. In open court immediately after her excusal, the juror asked Judge Newman if he had spoken with the clerk of court, referring to the conversation earlier that morning with Ms. Hill. Judge Newman responded that I have not spoken with her today and that this is totally independent of any conversation regarding her ex-husband, apparently misunderstanding her question to refer to the issue of the Facebook post. When the jury began deliberations that evening, Ms. Hill told them that this shouldn't take us long, and if they deliberated past 11 p.m., they would be taken directly to a hotel, even though none were prepared to stay overnight. Huh? Additionally, smokers on the jury asked to be allowed to take smoke breaks as they had previously been allowed to during the 6-week trial, but Ms. Hill told them they could not smoke until deliberations were complete. I remember hearing rumors about that and I don't think so. There were 6 smokers on the jury. Well, heck, that's half of them. Ms. Hill told jurors that after the trial, they would be famous and predicted that the media would request interviews with them. Ms. Hill even handed out reporters' business cards to jurors during the trial. Seriously? One juror took this to heart and made an appearance on Good Morning America the night of the verdict, which is why on the day the jury began deliberations, he wore a suit coat for the first time during the trial. Oh, we know who that was. I love that young man. After the verdict and immediately before sentencing, Ms. Hill pressured the jury to speak as a group to reporters from a network news show. She traveled with jurors to New York City when they appeared on the Today Show. She got her book deal. Her book, Behind the Doors of Justice, dun, 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 was released on August 1st, 2023. A last point about Ms. Hill's efforts to promote her book shows her dishonest efforts to profit from the trial continued well after the verdict. We've gone through all of the after the verdict. I'm not inclined to read all of the same things again. Contract had already been executed. Legal standard. I don't think we need to go through the legal standard. Argument. It's more about her book. I'm looking for tea, y'all. That's a lot of stuff that they're claiming happened. And just so you all know, James from court, the posts that I saw on Twitter seem to allude to the fact that not only was everyone aware of some of the shenanigans going on in the courthouse, but that the defense was keenly aware of it and perfectly okay with it because, of course, it's a wonderful appellate issue as it turned out. So why would you say anything? Let old Becky say and do whatever she wants to do. And that's why immediately after the verdict came in, old Poot was already saying all of this stuff because he knew all along. Now, James from court also made mention in reference to the fact that Poot and Griffin were actively going to jurors' homes to get information. It sounded, as Mr. Brennan would say, nefarious, based on how he worded it. And so, I completely agree. Poot is a snake. I am not a fan. I think that he was probably a marvelous litigator in his day. That's what Poot says. Yeah, this is all what Poot says, actually. So I'd be curious if this jury would have come back with a not guilty if Judge Newman would have been inclined to do something about it. This is all more legal matters. I don't know, Debbie. I don't know why didn't anyone on the jury report this? That's the part of it that makes me kind of question the merits of a lot of this, because it seems like that would be a logical thing to do, and they didn't. Conclusion. Yes, this is why they think you quit reading on all of it. It's just too much. I mean, 63 pages, but let's see what kind of exhibits we have here. This is an affidavit. I think I remember seeing some of these at the time of the hearing that took place with Justice Toll. Not to be fooled. This looks like all of the same things. Crying on cue. told the jury we cannot interact with Mr. Murdaugh because that is what the defense wants us to do. But they probably, I don't know that they gave him tissues out of like kindness. It was probably out of self-preservation. Like, dude, you're gross. Here, tissue, please. Please, please. Take the stinking tissue, Tito. Okay. Talks about conversations. I had questions about Mr. Murdaugh's guilt, but voted guilty because I felt pressured by the other jurors. I don't know how you could feel pressured in that short amount of time. You all know I have sat on more than one jury, and so I happen to have some experience with sitting in a deliberation or deliberating on a case. And I don't know that I would feel pressure in the short span of 3 hours. That seems like a stretch to me. It does make me wonder if any of these particular jurors were financially compensated in some way, or maybe they were compensated in some non-monetary way. Makes me wonder. I'm not saying, I'm not throwing any accusations. I'm just saying. And then we have another affidavit. And come to the jury room. Y'all are going to hear things that will throw you off. Don't let this distract you or mislead you. During the visit to Moselle, walked to the scene together, began walking. So they're walking together. I just think some of this might be a bit of a stretch. All right. It's supposedly going to have to spend the night in a hotel if they didn't reach a verdict. Okay, whatever. What's the next one here? Who was this? Oh, this is the transcript from the in-camera hearing. We read through that. Oh, and an excerpt from Behind the Doors of Justice. Dun, dun, dun. Oh, a signed copy. Looky there. Oh my, I don't even know what we're supposed to be finding in this. I would think, I don't know what this is supposed to be representing, but okay. It's a bunch of stuff from her book. Yeah. Oh, the Timothy Stone Facebook post. Well, let's take a gander. Timothy Stone. Yeah, don't know what that is. Interesting. And you're right, San Diego Surf Girl. She should know what's behind the doors. And yeah, the tissues were to wipe up his snot so his Tic Tacs would not slide off the table. Exactly. Okay, pet peeve of mine, Bobby Joe Blackwell. Why apologize for something you really meant? You meant what you said. Apologies don't mean anything if you constantly do it. Timothy Stone says, I'm human. I make mistakes and I know I didn't mean it. And then here's my pet peeve. Timothy Stone, apparently you did, or you wouldn't have posted it for all to see. Let's have a little grammar lesson. Wouldn't of is actually wouldn't have. Like if someone would have done something, then they would have done it. Not of. It's not of. I know that's what it sounds like, but that's not how you write it, everybody, okay? It's have. Have we all learned a nice little grammar lesson? And so that wouldn't have posted it for all to see. That's what it should say instead of wouldn't of. So let's all make sure we use of and have correctly moving forward. Because for someone like me, when I see that on a document or I see that on social media, I think you're dumb. Don't do that anymore. You all are smart in my chat. Don't do that. Don't make people think that you're dumb. All righty. There's your English lesson for the day. You're welcome. Oh my gosh. Oh, Karen Smith, Timothy Stone. Thanks. Where can I find the devotional book? Oh, for the love of all things holy. This goes on and on and on. Who cares what Timothy Stone has to say? What are we doing? And now the affidavit of Tim Stone. I'm the ex-husband. I mean, they really did a bunch of work trying to, it worked. He's getting a new trial. I don't know that the new trial is going to go quite the way that everybody thinks it's going to go. I think, I did not know blank was on the Murdaugh jury until I heard her voice on a recording when she was being excused as a juror and she was discussing something about eggs. I love that part of the trial. Oh, you know, here's the deal. Side note. We all know how much fun Karen Read season 1 was. And season 2 was nothing like season 1 for me, because season 1, I literally was like, all right, what'd this chick do? What the heck happened? And by the time I got to red Solo cups and Stop and Shop bags, I was like, what on earth is going on in this case? And they had me lost then. The prosecution, that is, the Commonwealth. And so season 2 of Karen Read, I kind of knew what to expect, but season 2 brought us Hank. Ugh. And it was there were not the surprises in season 2 that there were in season 1. But at the end of the day, I actually thought season 2 was better. I mean, season 1 was more entertaining. Don't get me wrong. And poor Lolly, man, he just lollylogged along in season 1. So I am anxious for Murdaugh season 2. I'm going to watch it. Of course. I'm going to watch season 2. I love Creighton Waters. I love the way he practices law. And so I'm here for it. Absolutely. And I think more time, they're going to, Poot and Jim are going to regret some of what they did. I feel like there's a mosquito in this dadgum studio that's chomping on my legs. Okay. So all of the text messages, great, goes on and on and on, for the love of all things holy. I don't know who P. Barber is. I met with Tim Stone at his home. He provided his Facebook login information. Oh, Mr. Barber. Remember, he handled all of the digital Attorney Barber is the one that handled all of the digital stuff for Alex team. Another juror exhibit. Don't be fooled by. Alone in the courthouse. Yeah, this is all about the ex-husband. All right, fine. Received a call. Murdaugh's probably got to him. I mean, does anybody on here think that that's not a possibility? And especially after everything that's happened, gone on, and yeah. Go in and ask for a raise of hands. They were known to do so frequently. Okay, yeah. Okay, this might be interesting. I own a rental property which is leased to two tenants, Deborah Webb and Clifford Dandridge. On Saturday, February 18th, 2023, I delivered a refrigerator to the property. I was removed from the jury on the day of the verdict because a coworker of Ms. Webb purportedly said I expressed an opinion on Mr. Murdaugh's guilt or innocence while delivering the refrigerator. Ms. Webb then worked at Domino's Pizza in Walterboro, so the coworker would be some employee of Domino's Pizza in Walterboro. I do not know whether Ms. Webb actually made any such statement at Domino's Pizza or whether a coworker actually heard any such statement. Okay. How were you? I'm backing up because I thought this was the affidavit of a juror. How was this juror delivering a refrigerator during the middle of the trial? Am I the only one that's lost? Oh, it was a Saturday. It was a Saturday. Okay. Whew. After I was dismissed from the jury, I spoke with Ms. Webb and Mr. Dandridge, who both vehemently stated to me and my husband that the affidavits the prosecution drafted for their signature was not what they said to him. They told me Sledge showed up at their home at 10 p.m. after they were asleep, removed them from their home, put them in separate cars, and questioned them. Mr. Dandridge said he told them I did not say anything about Mr. Murdaugh's guilt or innocence. Sled returned 30 minutes later, again woke them from their beds to serve subpoenas on them to appear in court the next day. They arrived at the courthouse at 9 a.m. the next day and were held for 9 hours until 6 p.m. when Sled officers or a prosecutor finally presented typed affidavits to them, saying they were their statements from the previous night that had been recorded by dash cams in the patrol cars. They said they signed the affidavits without reading them. Well, you're stupid. I mean, do you not understand what an affidavit is? You are swearing under penalties of perjury what you are signing, and what is stated in the affidavit is true. What is wrong with people? Oh, I just signed it. Oh, I just felt pressured. I just signed it. Yeah. We didn't read it. We just trusted those nice men that came to the house. It's all good. No, don't you fret. What? As I previously testified, if there is body cam, dash cams in these patrol cars that recorded it, bring it. Sorry, I don't mean any shade with my accent for South Carolina. It's not even a good South Carolina accent because they do a little bit of that mumbling thing that I can't do very well. But honest to Pete, this is the in-camera conference that took place on February 28th, 2023. Well, this looks interesting. This was an actual in-camera that we were not purview to. So, have you put anything on Facebook? Not regarding the case. I put a positive post on. I gave Ms. Becky my full access to my Facebook. I've put positive posts on. I've done that for the past 3 years, but has anyone posted anything on Facebook about you? And I wasn't sure of it until Ms. Becky told me today. What did she tell me? She asked me if I had an ex-husband, and I said, yeah. And she asked me if I had talked to him about the case or being on jury duty. And I said, no. And I questioned her why she was asking me that. I haven't seen my ex-husband since 2014. Does he live in the area? He does now. He lives in Cottageville. Okay. And I have 3 restraining orders against him. Warning. So he's basically up to no good. I wouldn't say that. I'd say a lot worse, but that's a nice way to put it. Okay. But she told me that. I was very upset after she told me that. I have, like I said, I have 3 restraining orders against him. I wouldn't have anything to do with him if I didn't have a child with him, but I haven't seen him since 2014 when we got a divorce. I have talked to him within the last year because I got a call at work that my son was in jail and needed a ride home. And I did call his father and ask him to go to get him, which he did not do. But other than that, I have not seen him, talk to him, or anything else since 2014 other than getting restraining orders in Colleton County, one in Orangeburg County, and I have one in Berkeley County. Wow. But Miss Becky said she had went to look for the post again and that had been deleted. And I don't know who she talked to or anything else, but she said apparently, what did she tell you that? It was after you let us go on that last break. I was very upset. And she came down and talked to me and said that apparently, I don't know who talked to him, but said that he was drunk and he removed the post. So has she discussed the case with any of the jurors? Has the clerk discussed anything about the case with anyone on that jury? Not that I'm aware of. All right now. You can't have it both ways, Poot. You can't say that there were all these shenanigans and then the flip side of it is you're saying this juror was asked under oath and she was like, nope, nothing happening. Nope, nothing to see here. Okay, she was just discussing she pulled me aside, and when we went downstairs after the last break, I want to say it was after lunch and we came back, that's when she first told me about it. And then when we went back into court, I was kind of screening the audience to make sure that my ex wasn't out there. And she came downstairs after that break and told me that she had found out that he was drunk and made a drunk post. And I don't know what happened from there. I have no clue. And I work at a monkey farm. Monkey farm. What do you do there? I work in the lab. For the lab, all I do is watch What? All I do is watch monkeys. It's a testing facility where they try and come up with cures for like AIDS, cancer, leukemia. What is happening? You're happy to be here away from the monkeys for a while? Yeah, I miss my monkeys. Are they pretty smart, as everyone says? They are very intelligent and they hurt and bleed and have feelings just like you or I do. They do. What is happening? Okay, at this point in time, have you made up your mind as to guilt or innocence, though? I haven't. I was trying to wait on closing arguments because those are usually pretty good. You've been on jury duty before? I was, but it kind of really sucked because they called me back and we were, anticipating. It was my first jury and they made up a agreement and we never got to sit on the jury. So she never got to deliberate. Okay, any questions either for anyone to ask? No, Your Honor. No, sir. Okay, if you will stand right inside, follow her for a second. Gabby, just right outside, inside the court, inside the other door, but not all the way out. And then Griffin says, Your Honor, I think that satisfies it. She hasn't talked to anybody, hasn't expressed an opinion, and hasn't made up an opinion. And she's got an ex-husband that she has 3 restraining orders against him. That's understandable. Have a good night. Thank you. Okay. Did we change gears here? Yeah, this is a completely different questioning in camera. I'm like, what the heck just happened? So Griffin was given the opportunity to push to have something done and to ask more. This all falls in line with what James from court was talking about. I'm not buying it. Oh boy. And this is about not being pleased about the court and being, or the clerk of court interrogating a juror. And then this is Holly Miller. who also has her affidavit about what? After the trial concluded, a group chat was formed with the jurors, but juror 326 dropped off of the group chat because there were too many chats. Interesting. Before deliberations began, juror 326 indicated that minor conversation led him to know who was a yes and who was a no. His vote changed with new evidence. Interesting. Well, there you all have it. That is the oh God, not Becky. Not a memo from Becky. What? What on earth is this? Dear DreamWorks, I'm looking forward to your upcoming docuseries on the Murdaugh case, and I hope you'll be able to use some of my interview should you choose to, because I am an elected official. We'll need to modify 3 clauses in the location agreement you presented me as it relates to my authority. And then she has the changes. Also, in exchange for the use of the likeness of Rebecca Hill in an interview, a minimum for no, it's not a 4. What is that? A minimum of 0.05 second video and audio clip will accompany the usage on the first reference. The book cover for the book Behind the Doors of Justice, dun dun dun, the Murdaugh murders will be shown in audio, will include Becky's introduction as clerk of court for Colleton County and author of the book. Oh, wow. Oh, boy. All righty. Well, now we know everything that we needed to know about what Becky was up to so far. Now, I have not read the entire opinion from the Superior Court that made the ruling to remand this back to the district court. I will probably at some time try to get my hands on that. But it's time to talk about Eric Bland. Are y'all ready? I'm going to get it queued up because I'm ready. And guess who has the skinny on this? Oh, none other than our friend, Mr. Seidel at Crime and Cask. So let me get you shared up properly here, because this was all new to me. And I'm not going to take the advertisements down and everything on this particular page, because there are some photographs in that I think it's important for all of us to see. And as much as I love Eric Bland, I have been worried something like this might come to pass, because he has had so much visibility on Mandy Matney's podcasts, Cup of Justice and True Sunlight. Before that, it was the Murdaugh Murders podcast. So this wasn't all that shocking to me. There is Mr. Bland. Time to hydrate again for more reading. All righty. ODC opens investigation into, let me see if I can make this a little bigger. Bear with me. That's a little bit better. Yes, Peppermint PJ, everybody get your popcorn because it's about to pop off. Yeah, Granny Debbie. Yeah, there are definitely issues with her. We'll see if there are issues with Mr. Bland. ODC opens investigation into attorney Eric Bland following ethics complaints citing pattern of public attacks on journalist. South Carolina Office of Disciplinary Counsel has opened a formal investigation into attorney Eric Bland following 7 ethics complaints alleging a pattern of public harassment, intimidation, and dishonest statements directed at a journalist covering high-profile legal matters, according to official correspondence from the state's attorney disciplinary authority. In a letter dated December 9th, 2025, Assistant Disciplinary Counsel Kelly B. Arnold informed complainant James Seidel that the agency had reviewed the allegations and determined they warranted further action. Imagine that. So is the picture getting clearer for some of you? Because it is for me. Thank you, KS Granny, for my sound effects. I find it interesting that Mr. Seidel is being accused of stalking Mandy Matney, and she is terrified of him, while at the same time, Mr. Bland is being investigated based on allegations that James Seidel has made. Isn't that a coinky-dink? The Office of Disciplinary Counsel operates under the authority of the South Carolina Supreme Court and is responsible for investigating alleged violations of the rules of professional conduct by licensed attorneys. An investigation does not constitute a finding of misconduct, and attorneys are entitled to due process before any discipline may be imposed. Bland has not publicly responded to the investigation. This is the letter that was sent on behalf of Mr. Seidel as the complainant to Eric Bland. Allegations detail repeated public attacks. The ethics complaints, filed over multiple days in December, allege that Bland used his social media platforms and podcasts, including X, formerly Twitter, and Facebook, to repeatedly and publicly attack Seidel, a journalist and publisher with CC News Network and Crime and Cask, while Bland was acting in his capacity as a South Carolina attorney connected to matters of active public litigation. According to the filings, Bland made statements accusing Seidel of having a screw loose, calling him a scumbag, a clown, a whack job, and a sick, deranged person, lunatic, mental midget, cretin, while portraying him as dishonest, mentally unstable, or engaged in harassment. One post warned that Seidel was poking the wrong bear and that anyone who listened to him did so at their own peril. Oh my. Y'all tell me. Do those name-calling things sound like anybody else? I'm just saying. Again, the parallels. The parallels do not escape me, and and the irony is beyond for me. The complaints allege that Bland also shared edited images mocking Seidel and invoked the names of other attorneys and journalists, including Mark Tinsley, Mandy Matney, and Liz Farrell, suggesting collective hostility towards Seidel and implying coordinated pressure against him. These were not private communications, one complaint states. They were public, targeted attacks by a licensed attorney with a large following directed at a journalist reporting on matters of public interest. Podcast statements cited in the latest ethics filings and additional filings submitted to the Office of Disciplinary Counsel this month. Seidel cited statements made by Bland during an episode of the Cup of Justice podcast, a commercially produced program hosted by Bland alongside journalists Mandy Matney and Liz Farrell. According to the complaint, Bland and his co-host repeatedly referred to Seidel as a scumbag and publicly speculated that his journalism constituted obstruction or violations, assertions the filing describes as false and unsupported. The complaint further alleges that Bland questioned whether Seidel had faked. Oh, this is beyond this. Oh, Mr. Bland. The complaint further alleges that Bland questioned whether Seidel had faked cancer, a remark made during a discussion in which co-hosts endorsed mocking a cancer survivor. Y'all know how I feel about this. Oh, boy. Seidel's filing, go away, states that Bland did not correct or distance himself from the comments and instead participated in the discussion as an on-air host. Seidel alleges that the podcast statements went beyond opinion or rhetoric and amounted to reckless misrepresentation and targeted harassment by a licensed attorney using his professional authority to discredit a journalist covering legal matters of public interest. Bland has blocked this journalist on all social media platforms. You know what I have to say about that, everybody? I have never blocked a single individual on any social media. Never. Do you know why? It's super easy to just ignore it. I don't understand it. I don't understand the blocking. If I were being harassed by someone, I would report it to the authorities. That's just my take on it. And saying someone faked cancer, that's a new level of ick. That's a new level of ick. Contradiction with prior private communications alleged. The complaints further allege that Bland's public statements were knowingly false and contradicted by his own prior private communications with Seidel. Oh boy, here we go. Screenshots, receipts, text messages. It's all coming. It's all coming. Oh my gosh, the parallels. According to the filings, Bland had previously exchanged cordial messages with Seidel, thanking him for his investigative work related to the Stephen Smith case, encouraging him to share evidence with law enforcement, and never objecting to his reporting. Screenshots of those communications were offered to ODC as exhibits. Oh, thank you, Sent. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your hard work. My pleasure. I pray this leads to arrests and convictions. I also pray it gives Sandy a little feeling of closure. Thanks, Jim. Oh, the complaints argue that publicly disparaging Seidel after privately acknowledging the legitimacy of his reporting constitutes dishonesty and misrepresentation under the ethics rules. Emails reviewed by CC News Network showed that the written reward offer circulated in 2023 promised payment for information leading to an arrest, while later communications involving attorney Eric S. Bland described the reward as contingent on a conviction and asserted discretionary exclusions not expressly contained in the original document. Oh, that's a problem. The altered description was used to declare Seidel ineligible for the reward despite the fact that he had not sought it. Oh, now it gets personal. Whether the reinterpretation of the reward terms was appropriate is not for reporters to decide, but the discrepancy forms part of the conduct now under review by disciplinary authorities. Ethics rules cited. The complaints cite potential violations of multiple provisions of the South Carolina Rules of Professional Conduct, including Rule 4.4a, using means that have no substantial purpose other than to embarrass, delay, or burden a third person. Rule 8.4c, conduct involving dishonesty, fraud, deceit, or misrepresentation. Rule 8.4D, conduct prejudicial to the administration of justice. Rule 8.4E, stating or implying an ability to improperly influence a government agency or judicial process. Rule 3.6, trial publicity. Rule 8.2A, false or reckless statements concerning integrity. Rule 3.6A, extrajudicial statements, pattern-based concern. The filings argue that publicly attacking a journalist covering active legal matters chills lawful news gathering, undermines transparency, and erodes public confidence in the justice system. Woo! What has happened to all of these people? I shouldn't say what has happened. What happens to people that have groundbreaking investigative information in landmark cases when the case is over? It's like they all lose their blessed minds. What is happening? Why? Supreme Court precedent, Trawick suspension. The investigation into Bland comes amid clear South Carolina Supreme Court precedent addressing attorney conduct on public platforms. In 2021, the court suspended Charleston attorney David Paul Trawick for 6 months after the Office of Disciplinary Counsel received 46 complaints regarding inflammatory Facebook posts he made while identifying himself as a lawyer and referencing his law firm. In the matter of David Paul Trawick, the court held that Trawick's public statements tended to bring the legal profession into disrepute and violated the lawyer's oath, even though the comments were not tied to active litigation. Legal observers note that the Trawick case demonstrates that attorneys may be disciplined for public conduct alone without trial involvement. Oh yeah. If I were an attorney in South Carolina, I would be very careful about what this thing right here does and what comes out of it, because I wouldn't, you do that too many times, you'll lose your license. Well, this is making me want to have Mr. Seidel on here, if for no other reason to talk about this. The complaints against Bland allege conduct that goes beyond offensive speech, asserting that his statements were connected to ongoing legal matters and aimed at intimidating or discrediting a journalist reporting on those cases. While Trawick's discipline arose from non-litigation related speech, the allegations under review in the Bland matter involve public commentary by an attorney that, if substantiated, directly intersects with trial publicity, third-party harassment, and the administration of justice. Whether the conduct alleged against Bland constitutes professional misconduct will be determined through the ODC investigation. What happens next? Under South Carolina's disciplinary process, ODC investigators may request written responses, review documents and public statements, and determine whether the facts support dismissal, confidential discipline, or formal charges. The South Carolina Office of Disciplinary Counsel has been provided with extensive documentation related to the allegations, including screenshots of the communications at issue, text message exchanges, emails among attorneys reflecting differing descriptions of the reward terms, published articles referencing Bland and his media associates, phone records, and other supporting materials. Only the South Carolina Supreme Court has authority to impose public discipline, which may range from reprimand to suspension or disbarment. For context, attorney David Paul Trawick was suspended from practicing law for 6 months. Some legal observers who have reviewed the disciplinary filings say the matter involving Bland appears broader in scope than cases that have previously resulted in short-term suspensions. Unlike isolated incidents of offensive speech, the complaints allege a sustained pattern of conduct over multiple days, beginning with posts on Bland's social media accounts, extending to statements made on his podcast, and culminating in communications in which Bland described revised reward terms connected to the Stephen Smith case and asserted that Seidel would not be eligible for any reward, even in the event of an arrest. The filings characterize those actions as retaliatory and tied to what Bland described as Seidel's tortuous and uncivilized conduct, raising questions about whether the alleged conduct reflects a continuing course of professional behavior rather than a single lapse in judgment. ODC proceedings remain confidential unless and until formal charges are filed or discipline is imposed. A reminder on due process. The opening of an investigation does not imply guilt. However, Supreme Court precedent makes clear that attorneys occupy a unique position of authority and may be held to heightened ethical standards when their public conduct threatens the dignity of the profession or the fairness of the justice system. As the investigation proceeds, the case adds to ongoing scrutiny of how lawyers balance advocacy, public commentary, and ethical responsibility in high-profile legal disputes. And there he is, Mr. Seidel. That is very, very interesting to me. And like I say, now I kind of want to have a conversation with Mr. Seidel about all of this. I might have to get his book on Stephen Smith also, because what has he uncovered in Stephen Smith's case that I don't know about? I'm looking on his website, so bear with me. May 13th. When was May 13th? That was Wednesday. He announced a autographed Stephen Smith investigative book. But I want to know kind of more about that. So I may reach out to him after CrimeCon and see if we can get together and talk about the Stephen Smith business, because that's a case that deserves attention. I know that for a period of time, everybody believed that there was a Murdaugh involved in Stephen Smith's death. And unfortunately, I think a lot of that storyline was perpetuated by Ms. Mandy Matney. And I don't know if any of that was true. And who's going to James Seidel is going to CrimeCon? See, now I'm going to have to reach out to him because I would love to meet him in person. That would be fantastic. I'm going to do that then before I leave. I was thinking after CrimeCon, but Murphy, you have piqued my interest, so to speak. And I'm going to have to see if I can reach out to him and see if at some point I can hook up with him while there. That would be really cool. The Stephen Smith case is one, it's kind of like Zach Adams. I don't know. In that I have some, maybe it's because I'm the mom of a son. It kind of, I don't know, hits my heartstrings. Some of the Zach Adams case definitely does. And Stephen Smith's. Oh, Murphy, do you know him? Murphy's telling me he's a great guy. And FOMO, you need to do CrimeCon. Everybody should do CrimeCon once. You might not like it. It's okay. It's not for everybody. I love it. I have a ball there. And Murphy, if you've got an in, hey, I'm good with it. I think he believes Alec is innocent, but that's okay. I'm cool with people disagreeing with me. Y'all know that. Anybody that's been following me from the beginning knows that I have absolutely no issue with a differing opinion. Bring it on. Doesn't bother me a bit. I like to have good conversation. Oh, well, thank you, FOMO. Thank FOMO Susie Q. Thanks for being with us. And yeah, I won't be on too much longer. She is signing off. Because that was one of the things I wanted to make sure that yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. You're absolutely right. Hookup sounds so crazy. Hookup. Yeah, I'm old. I don't think like that. I would like to meet with him while I'm at CrimeCon. In a nice, kind way, not the creepy, weird way that would cause someone to do a 9-hour live stream after. Just saying. I don't need that kind of drama in my life. So yeah, I'll reach out to him, and I'm not expecting anything, but you never know. You just never know. So all of that should kind of put a pin on the Murdaugh things for the time being. If something pops off between now and tomorrow, please let me know either by email. My email is msjanetdemeanor@gmail.com. It's also in my information on the Tubes of You. You can always message me on the Twix as well, or you can just drop me a comment on one of my YouTube videos. Any of those ways are fine ways to get in contact with me. Tomorrow night, we will do a little follow-up with Dr. Shaknovsky, and whatever else, we're just going to kind of wing it for a while. And I'll do some research on the World Wide Web, and we'll see what we can find to get some updates on. I added a bunch of dates to, y'all will not believe what my docket looks like. Sorry, I got distracted there for a second. Trials. I don't know if you can see that list. This is how Ms. D keeps her life in order. Okay, so this list I'm showing you takes us to the beginning of August. That's how much is going on. Yeah, that much. That much. So I did some research over the weekend, added a bunch of dates. Today, in case you weren't aware, Dr. Ebony Parker's trial was supposed to start. I am going to be watching that. I probably will get behind very quickly. Joseph Duggar had his arraignment today at 1:30. It was not necessary for him to be present, so that's why I didn't really do a whole lot about it. Tomorrow, Dr. Shaknovsky has a hearing, and Barry Morphew, there is a status hearing in that case, and Fraser Bohm has a pretrial hearing. Those are all tomorrow, and I think that's all that there is on the docket for this week. You're welcome, Granny Debbie. Thank you for loving the lists. It's the only way I can keep my life in order. And so yeah, I when I see things, I add it. So if y'all see something, shoot it to me, and then I can make sure that I add it. But I try to just do some investigating, online investigating from time to time. Jillian, we're going to be getting together again tomorrow night. So you are very welcome for the show tomorrow night and Wednesday this week, because we're not going to be having any live streams next week. I feel really weird about that. I feel like I'm abandoning all my little chickadees. With all of that, I don't think I have anything else to cover. I want to make sure that I get tomorrow night's live stream scheduled. So that we can talk about it all. It's Taco About It Tuesday. We're going to do a lot of talking. And I do want to send communication out to Mr. Seidel before I hit the hay this evening. So I thank you all for hanging out with me. Thank you for the Take It to Trial raid. Very much appreciate that, Sweet Pea. And if you haven't liked and subscribed, you probably should do that. You should turn your notifications on so you know what the heck is going on with the chickadees and misdemeanor. And we'll be back here tomorrow night to talk about more stuff, more legal stuff. But this has been your Monday Matters episode. If you were on Replay Crew, please drop me a comment. I do so appreciate it. And I thank all of you. I know you have a lot of choices. It means a lot that you choose to hang out with me for the evening. And with that, it doesn't cost a penny to be kind. So find someone to do something nice for today if you haven't already. And remember,